quorum, sir?
Mr. Goldthorpe?
Yes.
Commissioners, it is 2:30 and you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Ada County Commissioners and our guests, thank you for being here today. Having these joint meetings is something that our goal is to do at least quarterly or however often that there is a need to get together to corroborate or correlate what our schedules are, our priorities are, things that we all feel are important. And before we begin that this time, we have a quorum as the Ada County Commission, Highway District Commission, and how about you on the County Commission side? Oh, you got at least two. I see Rod.
Chairman Goldthorpe,
Yes.
this is Steve Rutherford. I'm the COO for the board, and we've got Ryan's computer is up and running, but we are a little bit of technical difficulties. The full board should be on here momentarily.
Super. Would you like us to wait for just a moment to start? We have IT problems once in a while too.
If you would, sir, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah,
Right there.
right,
Huh?
Roger's under.
All right, I'm good.
Okay. Can you guys hear?
You often use yours of the speakers.
I recognize the voice.
Is it coming through there now? It should be coming through. I can't hear anything now.
And are we still hearing it through loudspeaker?
Let me unmute mine.
Is your volume up on here? That one here?
Not on you, but just on
Yeah,
here.
is it supposed to be up?
Yeah.
All right.
Is it hearing you guys?
Well, we can swap it off those speakers and it'll come off the laptop.
Yeah.
For those speakers, you could just plug it in. Well,
Are we set?
We are. Do you have a quorum?
Yeah, we can just turn it down on the laptop.
Can't we could test it?
Are they able to hear
No,
you?
what else? You got the volume up on the laptop. So, yeah. Try that. Can't hear anything? Exactly.
What are we doing?
Are y'all there that are going to be there, Rod?
Yeah, we're here. Can you hear us?
Yep, sure can. Appreciate
All
that.
right. Sure, well, we're here. Going now. Had a little difficulty there, started out with a little technical difficulty, but I think we got it fixed.
Happens here all the time, especially when they give me a mouse. So, anyway.
We don't want that.
No. So we'll go ahead and begin our joint meeting. Commissioner Beck and
Okay.
Commissioner Davidson, you probably maybe have heard but haven't experienced. We kind of like to have quarterly or whenever is necessary or desired meetings with all of our partners to talk about our priorities, answer questions, identify areas of common interest, and also today, one of the things one of the goals we have is to make sure that the two new commissioners get a little bit of what we call ACHD 101, and that might stimulate some discussion and questions. It always does every time I hear it. But thank you. We'll call the meeting for the Ada County Highway District Commission to order, and
Okay.
you should probably do the
If you
same.
could hold on just a minute, Commissioner, or Mr. President, we need to get on the record here as well. So you get on the record.
Yep,
You're on the record.
Okay, we're now on the record, and we're having a joint meeting with the Ada County Highway District. All three commissioners are present, and it is March 10th. It's 2:34.
thank you. Again, welcome.
All right,
And
go ahead. Thank you.
the easiest thing for me to do with regards to this meeting and our agenda would be to turn the time over to Director Wong, and we can handle this very informally, just like we usually do and like to do. If during the presentation you have any questions, just go ahead and ask. Thank you. Director
Okay,
Wong.
could we do,
Yep.
Mr. President, could we first do some introductions? There's some people on the screen that I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, that's actually fine. I think everybody knows me.
Yeah.
Now, Paul Daigle, they may not know you. Would you introduce yourself?
I am Paul Daigle. I am the Chief of Staff over at the Ada County Highway District.
All
Okay.
right. And Sherwin?
Yes, I'm Sherwin Prescott, the treasurer for ECHD.
And Alexis?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alexis Pickering. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
Okay,
just
perfect. For
fine.
some reason,
And Gary?
perfect. I got a little thing that said I wasn't muted.
Gary, how about you introduce yourself?
Sorry, yes, I'm Gary Inselman, Deputy Director of Development and Technical Services here at ACHD.
And Margaret, how about you? Didn't recognize.
Hi, I'm Margaret Colonel with WCDev.com. I'm the senior reporter.
All right, thank you. And Jennifer?
I'm Jennifer Behringer. I'm the Deputy Director of Maintenance at ACHD.
And Ryan?
I guess that's you, Ryan.
Commissioner David?
Ryan David, Ada County Commissioner.
Thank you. Mr. Rutherford?
Yes, good afternoon. My name's Steve Rutherford. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Board of Ada County Commissioners.
And
Hey.
Commissioner Kenyon?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Kenyon.
Sherry?
Good afternoon. I'm Sherry Canals. I'm the Chief HR Officer.
And Steve?
Hi, Steve Price, General Counsel for the Highway District.
And Christine? Couldn't read
I can't
lips
hear
there,
Christine.
Christine.
Christine Chandler, Budget Coordinator for the Highway District.
And a really good one. Stacy? You bet. All right. Let's see. Anybody else? I think we're good.
Well, you have our
Commissioner
staff.
Hanson, you there?
Yeah, Jim Hanson.
All right, I skipped over you.
I've been in a joint meeting with Rod Beck since we were both in the legislature together.
Well, hey, you were on the meeting yesterday. That
There you go.
Compass meeting.
In that case, now that we all know each other at least a little by face and name, we'll go ahead and I'll introduce Director.
Well, you have
Wong.
our development services staff. You have Richard Beck and Jason Bull on as well.
Oh, I didn't see them.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. All
Yep.
right, Director.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Goldthorpe, and welcome to all. Commissioner Beck, I hope you'll notice that I'm wearing a very special mask that you gave me yesterday, and such that.
I noticed, yeah.
There it is, right across the board, it has everything on it. So thank you again for that. Anyway, Stacy, if you could bring up the first slide, please. Commissioners, what we wanted to do is provide you with a little bit of background on the Ada County Highway District for operations and some of the things we see in front of us. I'll go through this fairly quickly. Please stop me if you have a question. If not, at the end of it, of course, I've got the entire staff here to answer anything that you may have. Next slide, Stacy. This is what we're going to talk about, an introduction to the organization, high points of 2020, 21, and then some challenges we see on the horizon for the Ada County Highway District. Next slide, please. Rules of engagement, Air Force term, of course. Bottom line, I will not speak engineering by any stretch of the imagination. I'll do my best to speak English. And of course, I do have the experts here to clarify anything that I may have said or what the director really meant to say. Next slide, please. Commissioners, I'm sure you're well aware, but these are our commissioners across the board. Commissioner Goldthorpe is president, Commissioner McKinney is our vice president, and these are the areas that they are responsible for and the constituents they represent. Next slide. Bottom line, as you probably all know, we are celebrating our 50th anniversary year. The official date will be 11 August as we do the appropriate celebration, cake cuttings, and all that great stuff. But we were established by the legislature, as I'm sure you all know. We have a 5-member elected commission, and we are responsible for a lot of things, a lot of people, and a lot of customers just like you. As a matter of fact, I believe we share all of the same constituents across the board. We have a rather large economic impact into Ada County, and we maintain for you and for all the citizens a lot of road miles, a lot of bridges, and all the equipment that you can see across the board there. We also operate multiple buildings, headquarters, 2 major industrial sites at this point in time, and something we call commuter ride, which is most likely Idaho's only profitable alternate transportation system. Next slide, please. Well, this is how big we are, and we're growing every day. You can actually go from here to New York City and back again and probably circle parts of Idaho and still not run out of Ada County Highway District road structure. Next. The Commission's priorities are very clear, and this is what we use basically to do as a jog for everything that we do here at the district. The first, of course, is our people. We like to say that people are profit centers, not cost centers, and we invest in them something fierce there at the district. We look hard at being efficient and effective, as you've seen in some of the operations that we do, and of course our budget operations. And we also focus hard on safety throughout the district. And I'll explain a little bit those results that the Commission has seen, or the Ada County Highway District has seen in the last couple of years based on those 4 guiding principles. Next slide, please. So, in a nutshell, this is what we do. And we like to emphasize to all of the customers here, from the legislature down to our newest member here in Ada County, that we are not a road department. We are able to, based on what the legislature and the citizens decided that Ada County Highway District should be many years ago, we were able to incorporate multiple disciplines, multiple expertise to provide great results to the public. We consistently do engage the public in all aspects of what we do, and the commissioners, as you commissioners have a very tough job. They wear regional hats, and they have to be honest brokers in some very difficult times when one decision they make may not be popular in part of the county, but does support, for all the right reasons, another part of that county. Next slide, please. So here's how we do it in a nutshell. It goes to our strategic plan, which has a 20-year plus look on operations, which rolls into the capital improvement plan, which takes into account all of Ada counties and the cities' requests, deficiencies. We wrap that into our integrated 5-year work plan, which your staff does coordinate with us on Ada County commissioners and Ada County's inputs into that plan, and it's rolled into a 2-year budget, which the commission will look and approve in the late August timeframe. The budget is composed of about 30 some odd what I call touches from the staff and the commission. So at the end of the day, we actually walk the commission line by line through those projects, which would incorporate into the integrated 5-year work plan, which currently has over about 409 projects already listed for that the commission has looked at and set as approved in that integrated 5-year work plan that we're working through. Next slide, please. We also have a tremendous focus on bicycle and pedestrian operations. We are transforming how we do business here at the Ada County Highway District to ensure that we are focusing on all users, all modes of transportation. We've most recently changed our policies on our maintenance operations. In the past, we would come to, in a capital maintenance area, we would come to a part of a city and we would just look at the road structure. Well, today, what we do is we look at the entire road structure as an entire entity, sidewalks, crossings, pedestrian crossings, ADA, so that when we go in, it's we're in, we fix everything, and we come back out again to least impact the public time and time and time again. Now, the challenge here, of course, that costs a little bit more money, and it does take a little bit more time, but the benefit is that we get it all done right the first time going in. Next slide. We're also kind of unique here in Idaho. We are actually international ambassadors for Idaho. The flags you saw at the beginning of the presentation and all these are countries that the State Department has brought to the Ada County Highway District to understand how we operate within the realm of having 7 different governing agencies, 8 to include the commission, 9 to include the legislature, 10 to include our congressional delegations across the board. And how do we do that transparency-wise, and how do we do that without massive conflict with guns and arms and everything else that these countries have had to go through? So on our first visit, which was Bhutan, the State Department was so impressed that they have continued to bring these following countries to the Ada County Highway District to understand how we govern without corruption. And that is an amazing, I'm going to say, tip to our commissioners and, of course, all the elected officials here in Ada County to have that type of justification. When the country of Bhutan came through, I will let you know that they wanted to take a majority of our equipment back with them because they were highly impressed with the quality of our equipment, and they wanted to know how we operated with those all the stoplights we have in the county, because in their entire country they have 1. They also had made an invitation to Commissioner Goldthorpe and I to come visit with them. So far, they haven't sent the airline tickets, so we'll see how that proceeds going forward. Next slide, please. Commissioners, your Ada County Highway District is also one that gives back consistently to the community. For the last, I'm going to say, 8, 9, 10 years, we have done tremendous things for different charitable organizations. In 2019, we did host our golf tournament for the Children's Home Society, but we've also hosted these tournaments for Operation Warm Heart, the Guard, the First Tee of Idaho, the Women's and Children's, so all these different charities that truly need our help. Now, our team members do this on a voluntary basis only. There is no official time spent on these, and I will say that we generally are in the 6 figures when we hand those checks to these very deserving organizations. It is very emotional to see the great things that they're going to be able to do. Now, in 2020, we did have to defer our tournament. We did at that point elect to support the Wyatt Warriors, and we have rolled that now into 2021. And the challenge for us is to go to the $200,000 range when it's all said and done for that tremendous group of former military members. As I said earlier, these are all volunteers, and they do a tremendous job on giving back to the community. Next slide, please. We also are intimately involved in the Idaho Patriot Thunder, and that is Idaho's largest motorcycle charity event. The proceeds go to Operation Warm Heart at Mountain Home, and of course Idaho Guard and Reserve Family Support Fund here. We had to postpone last year's due to the COVID. However, this year's is scheduled for July 25th, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm pretty confident it'll be the biggest ride ever. We generally host anywhere from 9 to 1,200 riders and motorcycles with full escort from the ISP, full support from all the cities, full support from the governor's staff, and generally it's about 8.5 to 9 miles of motorcycles going to Mountain Home Air Force Base and Mountain Home to say thank you. And again, all the proceeds are donated to those two very deserving military family charities, and there are no salaries. It's all done by volunteers. Next slide. So quickly through 2020. Next, commissioners, in red indicates to you growth and such. We've shared this with the legislature and such and other partners, but as you can see, there's a lot of stuff that had been completed when it comes down to answering not only current maintenance, but again, future growth across all of Ada County. If you look at that, 980 development applications, that's amazing if you think about it. The 1,000+ plan submittals. And what's truly an indication of growth is the number of signs we put up on a daily basis, which reflects new subdivisions, new businesses, those sort of things. And as you can see, the number is quite staggering. Next slide. We've also done a tremendous lot of work in 2020 on just keeping the system going the way it needs to go. If you look at how the number of trouble calls and investigations, it again goes back to the continued growth that all of us are seeing, not only in Idaho, but especially in Ada County across the board. That being said, our team members are doing a tremendous job of keeping signalization rates and our principal arterials in the appropriate levels or the best levels of service possible to support all users. Next slide, please. We do a lot of repair. We do a lot of improvements. We do a lot of new construction across all of Ada County. As you can see, that is a lot of sidewalks and ped ramps that are repaired and put in place. And one of the things we like to share with all of our folks is that your Ada County has the best roads in Idaho and some of the top roads in the Northwest as evaluated by outside agencies. And when I mean outside agencies, I mean outside of Idaho. We do this on a 2-year rotational basis, and we continue to, based on the preventive maintenance strategies, the operational strategies we have, and the Commission's focus on where dollars are spent and how they're spent, we're able to put up those type of statistics every day. And so it's interesting, you know, we haven't heard too many complaints yet about the infrastructure, but it also includes bike lanes. We are focused heavily on ensuring that we are continuing to update and modernize, if that's the right term, the infrastructure so it does accommodate all users of the infrastructure. Next slide, please. And then finally, in 2020, we're very proud of our Safe Routes to Schools contributes that we do in partnership with the Bicycle Alliance and the Safe Routes to School folks. The Commission has been very focused on community programs, which again continues to look at and try to patch and repair those gaps in sidewalks, those special things that the different communities feel are very important for their vision as they continue to mature as neighborhoods and as communities. And what's really great, and I think I shared this with you yesterday, Commissioner Beck, that in 2020 our overhead, our administrative overhead was 6.6% with all the dollars that are invested. We think that's continues to be a good goal for us to move toward as we move into the future. Next slide, please. Safety, safety, safety across the. I talked a little bit earlier about our compliance training. These are the results, Commissioners, and you can see that we're very proud of that. As a matter of fact, we do get dividend checks from workers' compensation. In the last, I believe, 3, maybe 4 years, probably 3, we have not seen an increase in our health insurance premiums. Why? Again, going back to that initial series of slides, we look at people as profit centers, not cost centers. The Commission has invested in wellness programs, biometric screening, health fairs, safety operations, which allows us to produce those types of results. And we were very happy that going into 2021, we also did not see another increase in our health insurance premiums. As a matter of fact, our carrier lets us know on a consistent basis that we have better coverage and better premiums than they have, and they're the ones that are providing it to us. Again, it goes back to the focus our commission has on the organization overall, the focus they have on our people, and of course, the culture that we've established here at the Ada County Highway District when it comes to safe operations, healthy operations. Next slide, please. I wanted to talk briefly about our COVID strategy last year, this year, and last year, and I want to thank the commissioners for their support on helping us get reimbursed for some of the dollars that we've put into this program. If it wasn't for the Ada County commissioners, we probably would not have a seat at the table, because as this was determined by the governor's staff, even though we are a taxing district, Ada County was left out of that decision matrix. The commissioners very graciously stood up and elected to represent us in those negotiations when it came down to reimbursement for the COVID infrastructure and supplies we've put in place. But at the end of the day, we are conservative in our approach going forward. We continue to abide by all of the governors, the CDC, Central Health, Boise's, Ada counties across the board recommendations when it comes down to the pandemic. What I'd like to share with you is, as of yesterday, we have 0 members of our team that are preventively quarantined for COVID. That, again, speaks loudly to the focus we've had. The Commission continues to remain laser focused on the Family First and CARES Acts across the board, and we were very grateful that we were able to ensure today and going forward that no one at the Ada County Highway District, nor our partners when it comes down to executing dollars on projects, those sort of things, have missed a paycheck from the onset of the pandemic to today's operation. We also have been very supportive of our team members when it came down to the tough challenges that parents have had and continue to have regarding schooling. So we've adopted, as I know all of us have, a very good rotational focus on work here, work from home, work at your whatever it is, and such, to ensure we're supporting all of our team members across the entire spectrum. Now, that all being said, we have made the internal decision that we will encourage but not mandate COVID-19 vaccinations. We think that's the appropriate approach when it comes down to next steps in the fight against this pandemic, and we strongly believe, again, that's the right decision. Next slide. So 2021. Next, please. Commissioners, these are the 7 overarching operational mandates that they have given us in what I'll call the commission intent. And what that means is, if we don't speak to the commissioners for the rest of the year, these are the things, the big things, that they've asked us to ensure we do across the board. And I'm very proud to share with you that we are meeting those. Now, again, it's been a struggle with the growth, with the issues of competing operations and competing businesses who just love to come to the Ada County Highway District and hire our folks. It has been a challenge, but the team has been very focused on that, and we have continued to meet those objectives, those minimum objectives for our commissioners and for all of Ada County. Next slide. Winter operations, and we're almost out of it. Next slide. Commissioners, this is the equipment and the number of team members that are dedicated to operating your ACHD's winter operations plan. As you can see, on the surface there appears there's a lot of stuff there and people there, but when you compare it to the 5,199 and growing miles of ACHD right-of-way and road structures, it is a daunting challenge. We've adopted some tremendous operational strategies that allow us to do this in a very effective and efficient manner without costing the taxpayers anything more than that's required by the mission at hand. Next slide, please. Our storage facilities, we currently have 2 major salt sheds, covers and such, and that's our capacity to support all of Ada County across the board. And I do want to say one thing that we learned a while back from Snowmageddon. We actually now have contractors on call, on contract, that by picking up the phone, we can execute those to help us in our operation on clearing snow here in the Ada County. Next slide. So how do we do it? Commissioners, this is the ACHD Commission approved priorities. This is how we execute our response to snow operations. Priority 1, as you can see, these, by the way, have been coordinated and collaborated with all of our partners when it comes down to that early fall going into the winter operations. So there are no surprises. Now, what we've added most recently, again, after Snowmageddon, as a matter of during it, was getting into those priority school bus routes. We wanted to ensure that those children's transportation issues were as safe as possible. And what this also allowed us to do was get into neighborhoods earlier and such, and start opening up those major routes for neighborhoods to be able to get out if they're snowed in, like we saw during Snowmageddon. Next slide, please. So where are we now? As of January, Commissioners, that's the report card at this point in time. And as some of you may remember, one of the reasons why the Ada County Highway District was formulated was about potholes and such. And we're very proud of the fact that we continue today to answer and service every call that comes in within 24 hours, no matter what time. Next slide. Dollars. Next slide. Commissioners, this is the Commission-directed planning assumptions that we have used for 2021. Justifiably so, and I say that again, justifiably so, the Commission did not take any property tax increases, and they did not reserve their foregone balance as authorized by the new series of the new legislature that came out last year. But this is how they approve funding for roads. Capital improvements first, primary focus, safety and maintenance, secondary focus, system enhancements. Next slide, please. Here are the dollars. And this is where we have planned for that revenue to come from a percentage-wise. You can see majority is property taxes, and then we have the highway users fund as number 2. Impact fees are number 3, and then it goes from down across the board. But that is the Ada County Highway District's budget for FY21. Next slide, please. Here are expenses. As you can see, we focus a lot on capital. That's capital improvement and capital maintenance. And then we have other maintenance operations to support our maintenance team members across the board. But again, the slice of the pie is focused very hard on preventative operations to ensure at the lowest cost to the taxpayer that the infrastructure continues to be maintained through the out years. Next slide. Now, what I thought you'd find interesting is a couple slides on where the money comes from and where the money goes. Commissioners, we publish this every year. We send it out to the elected officials. I believe your staff has got these also. We also give them to the media to ensure transparency here at the Ada County Highway District. So far in 2020, the blue indicates the revenue, the red indicates where that revenue was expended. And again, I remind the commissioners that the Ada County Highway District commissioners wear a regional hat and such. So you can see from what we did in 2020, it's fairly balanced with where dollars came in and where dollars were expended based on growth and where the needs were. Next slide. Well, what I think is very important is to look at it from a trend, and I'll walk you through just a couple of these as we go through the years. So for the last integrated 5-year work plan, or from 16 to 21, you can see that that Boise, based on where both commercial and residential and private growth was occurring, those were the dollars were spent in that last area, as with Meridian. Next slide. If you look a little longer, again, I believe in trends, you can see that the Commission has done a very good job on best ensuring that each city's and the county's requirements are being met and such. And on the side, you see the tally of the total dollars that are spent. Next slide. And then going out to our current integrated 5-year work plan, or projected 21 to 25, you can see that we are going to be spending more dollars that are collected in Ada County, unincorporated Ada County, a little less in Boise, a little bit more in Meridian, and a little bit more in Eagle. But again, the trend of how the commission expends dollars is a good one. It underlines the why the single integrated highway district, based on combinations of all different issues, really does work when it comes down to meeting the needs of all the cities and the county. Next slide, please. Then if you go, just for our information, you go from 2006 to 2025, that is a really pretty good split, a pretty good distribution of funds based on revenue. Next slide, please. So a couple challenges on the horizons that we like to share with all of our partners. First, it's a three-tiered crossroads for the county, and I'm sure for ACHG, as I'm sure it is for the county too. Growth, internal resident capability to access that growth, and funding. Next slide. So, just to give you an idea, and again, I go back to look at the number of signs we install as a great indicator of where how growth is going. These are some numbers I thought you'd be interested in. It's just in the last year on single-family residents only, not commercial, not multifamily, not just single. That's the number, about 25,000. And so we're estimating, if the Compass models are correct, and I know they are updating them all the time, we're seeing another 31,000 housing units in the next 4 years. Think in the next 4 years. Next slide, please. Funding is always a challenge. And up front, this is what the legislature has said and established that the Ada County Highway District can spend their money on: construction, reconstruction, maintenance, and traffic supervision of highways in Ada County. Now, I'm sure you're all aware, the commission is running a bill that expands the definition of highways to include bike lanes, transit facilities, and pedestrian facilities, which for whatever reason, for all these many years, were not in the legislative language that allowed us to spend those dollars. If this passes, and I believe it's doing fairly well right now, that'll allow the commissioners to, again, open that aperture when it comes down to what type of dollars they can spend and where. Next slide. Then finally, at the end of the day, we have a tremendous senior leadership team of commissioners and just an outstanding team here at the Ada County Highway District. And I will assure you that we do everything we possibly can to get it right the first time, and when we don't, we apologize. So commissioners, that's just a brief overview of what we call ACHG 101, and I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Goldthorpe.
Thank you very much. You've heard a lot. Hopefully not too much of it went over heads, but I would like to ask Commissioner Beck if you could perhaps lead the discussion now as far as questions you might have.
Okay. I would, the one question that popped right up in my mind, Director Wong indicated that the Idaho legislature had established the Ada County Highway District. It was my understanding that they may have adopted legislation, but that it was a vote of the citizens of Ada County that adopted the Highway District upon the recommendation of the Ada County Commission.
You are absolutely correct, sir.
That's correct. Yeah.
So it wasn't the Idaho legislature that created the Highway District. It was the citizens of Ada County, correct?
Well, without either of the three, we wouldn't exist.
Well, there's no doubt about that. The legislature passes laws, and they created the statute that allowed for countywide highway districts. Exactly. Okay. Are there questions of the commission
Well, I have some questions.
Okay. Okay.
Up here.
I'm trying to see where it is.
No, it's on.
Oh, okay. We're muted.
Ryan, are you?
I'm muted.
I'm thinking maybe there aren't too many questions.
Commissioner Beck, you're still on mute.
We'll try it.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kenyon.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great, okay. So, thank you for that overview, appreciate that. Just as a couple of follow-ups. So, going back to the funding, the board sent your Board of Commissioners a letter back in, I think it was August. You mentioned that you didn't take any of the 3% in taxes, nor the foregone. And so what we were looking at and we're concerned about is with the growth that's coming into Ada County, as you identified, in 5 years, your budget, your unfunded list of projects, CIP projects, has grown from $36.8 million to $195 million in backlogged projects and needs. So I'm wondering how you're going to start to catch up with all of this growth if you're not going to be willing to take any of the 3% or foregone or raise impact fees. I'm just curious what that looks like on your end from a financial perspective.
Well, I can tell you from my perspective that what we can get from taking the 3% will hardly put a dent in the backlog of our projects, which is an unfortunate thing. We've been asking for more flexibility and efficiencies in how we handle things like impact fees, but so far we have been unsuccessful with getting the legislature to address that. So what we will do, most likely, whether we take the 3% or new construction or not, we likely will not be taking the foregone. At least I hope not. I think that's there for an emergency fund. In fact, the only time we've ever had a very pointed discussion on what to do with that foregone was back in 2017 when I was on the emergency management board, like the meeting we had yesterday, and we came within a hair of having to use that on bridges that might have been either washed out or blown up. And so that's an emergency fund as far as we're concerned today. That may change.
Okay, so President Goldthorpe, so did you not take any new construction fund?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You didn't take anything on the new construction fund?
No, we did not.
No, okay. So you're not intending for growth to pay for itself?
Of course we are. But it won't.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't harbor any misconceptions. As far as I'm concerned, it never has. And until a lot of things change with regards to funding and how we can spend that money, it never will.
Commissioner Goldthorpe?
Yes.
Commissioner Goldthorpe, Commissioner, again, great question across the board. I will assure the commission here delves into that very diligently across issues. Now, what the commission has done internally is that we have restructured a lot of the fees that we do charge developers. We've increased those, which again is bringing in a couple extra dollars to the district. As I'm sure you're aware, the district has been very supportive in several of the initiatives that Representative Palmer, Senator Den Hartog, other members of the legislature and the governor have tried to introduce when it comes down to how do transportation systems get more funding. We're watching the bill that may allow the highway districts to actually bond in a different type of area. We do know that there is a discussion going on regarding the governor's look at the general fund in Idaho, how that's going to be apportioned out between ITD and the local highway districts. There is some push. We don't know how that'll go at this point in time, as I'm sure you're all aware, to increase the sales tax. Don't know how that's going to work out. But in the past, based on not just the pandemic, but some of the very interesting, challenging times that the residents in Ada County had, the commission was very adamant on ensuring that we were not going to be another burden on them when it comes down to spending dollars and investing in dollars. And as hopefully you saw from the series of slides as to what we do spend and where we do spend it, they've asked us or directed us to continue to be more efficient down the line. But as you stated, there are a lot of requirements there that at the end of the day, cities, counties, and the whole state of Idaho cannot meet based on just dollars alone. I will also share with you that the Ada County Highway District was a key stakeholder in the governor's most recent task force review of what it's going to need for transportation. And we were very adamant in working with the BSU strategic planning group to ensure that they understood that in the last series that the governor's task force did, I think it was 2010, 2011 sometime, they did not take into account maintenance operations. They did not take into account ADA. They did not take into account bicycle pedestrian. They did on this one. Now, whether or not that's going to be used, and if it's been used right now for the governor's review, and of course the legislature, that's way above my pay grade. I don't know, but I hope that answers some of your questions.
It does. I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Beck. He has some questions. Thank you.
And I might also add that one of the things that I'm most grateful for is the fact that the land use planning agencies have in the last couple of years started to realize that, and this is along with the growth paying for itself, that there needs to be funding for adequate public facilities for all of these, the impacts of all of these projects. And so when we get an application before us that establishes a huge development way out in the hinterlands, I personally cringe because I know we can't afford it. And you know, lately it's been a real blessing to see that other people are feeling the same way.
Okay, Mr. President Goldthorpe.
You bet.
We have Commissioner Davidson has a question, then I have a few comments and questions.
Sure.
I was just curious, hi, Mr. President. Does ACHD, are they responsible for sweeping sidewalks as well as streets?
No, we really aren't. That's the responsibility of the property owners that are adjacent to the sidewalks.
Okay, thank you.
That was an
Thank
easy
you,
question.
President Goldthorpe. I do have some comments, and then I do have a couple of questions. Number one, I want to indicate to you how strong I have supported and feel about the Ada County Highway District. A number of years ago, I was a guest speaker at a high school government class. And of course, it was during fall election, and they had the sample ballot written on their wall. And I posed the question to them, which of the following people that's on the ballot do you think is the most important to you, to your everyday life? Almost without exception, they said, oh, well, it's got to be the President of the United States. I said, well, I will tend to disagree with you. And I pointed down to the Highway District, and I said, that one is going to impact your life more than anything else, because guess what? Every time you get out on a road, it's the Ada County Highway District that has built that road and that manages that road and that keeps that road up to date. That's going to impact your daily life way more than anything the President of the United States is going to do, no matter who the president is. So just so you know, I've always had that on my mind, that the roads are of utmost importance. I've been on the road today, probably 40 miles today on Ada County Highway District roads. Some of them was state roads, but mostly Ada County Highway District roads. So the Ada County Highway District roads are important to me. They're important to Ada County. They're important to our operation. Now, having said that, I do appreciate the partnership that we have been in for years. I hope we can continue in a positive partnership. But I'd like to ask a question relative to legislation. Can we get some sort of a commitment from you that if you plan on presenting legislation that deals with Ada County, would you first come and talk to us first?
Well, sometimes I don't, well, I have no problem with that. Sometimes when we reach out to folks, the water doesn't get to the end of the row, but that's probably not all that often. I'll tell you what, in as much as is within my personal purview, I'll make sure that that happens.
I'm a pretty easy guy to get a hold of. You can just put my name in. My phone number comes up on a Google search.
I think the commissioners were listening in on yesterday.
I don't know. Commissioner Kenyon wants to know if all commissioners are watching the hearing that took place yesterday. Of course, I was there and spoke at it, but
I can't speak for everyone. I was not able to.
okay, all right. Well, I just think moving forward, it would be in all of our best interests if I guarantee if we have legislation dealing with the highway district, we'll talk and consult with you first before we ever present it to the legislature, and try to work out some sort of an issue. I'm not aware of any, but if there was, we would. And I would just ask that we could get the same courtesy.
Your request has been heard.
Mr. President, Commissioner Beck, I think we've understood that. I think to a certain extent, we sort of just let our lobbyists and our staff take the lead on that. And by and large, they've been issues that haven't affected the cities. But I think it's important not only to inform you, but actually to seek your support. Because as you know from your time in the legislature, if everybody's coming in, you bring all the cities and the county officials, and they all come in, they say, we want this to pass. It usually does without opposition. So just the simple process of getting things done, the more you do on the front end, the easier it is to get it done on the back.
Well, when you have partnerships, you've got to engage the partners. I think if you want to advance your cause, you want to engage all the partners, and we consider the highway district a very important partner in our efforts, and we hope that you would also consider the Ada County government as an important partnership with you as well, and all the cities. By the way, if you ever want to come and tour the jail or look at our emergency, our ambulance services or anything else, we'd be happy to show you around.
And we appreciate that. I can tell you right now that the 2 years that I spent on the Emergency Management Board in 16 and 17 it was two of the more interesting years of my life in terms of discovering some of the really important things that county government stands ready to do.
Well, we've got a dispatch center that'll blow your mind out. I don't know if you've ever toured it, but we dispatch all the fire, all the police in all Ada County. And
They tap into their cameras.
And tap into your cameras. By the way, we saw all your cameras on the wall, the dispatch center. So we have a great partnership, and I'd like to continue in a good relationship with that partnership.
That's a pretty interesting TV show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, they can switch it, and anyway, it works good. And I would just hope that we could move forward, and the next time we're in the legislature together, that we'll be moving forward on the same piece of legislation positively.
Thank you, Rod.
Thank you.
Any of your other folks have questions or comments or?
Do you have anything else, Commissioner Kenyon?
Not at this time. This is too cumbersome.
No, I would hope that it wouldn't be not too near in the near future that we can get together live at your auditorium or our auditorium, because it's so much better when we can look at each other and talk to each other live. I think that's so much better of a proposition.
And we always provide a really nice buffet.
Well, that'd be good too.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Of course, our buffet is based on, we don't increase it by 3%, so just know that.
Well, we would know that.
Served last year. A couple things. One, Commissioner Kenyon talked about sort of the wish list of unfunded things. You always have to take that at face value. Some of those are really warranted now, and others are projected. They may not be warranted for 30 years, and even then, what is the return on that investment? One of the most important things I think the county's done in recent years, and I appreciate you moving forward on that, is helping to do a fiscal analysis of all of the infrastructure that we've already built and paid for. The taxpayers own it, and the taxpayers on the hook to maintain it. And so it's critical to know what the return on that investment is. In Ada County, the ACHD has the biggest investment is in the right-of-way, and the maintenance of the right-of-way to move people is really important. And the way we move people either returns greater value to businesses and neighborhoods or lesser value. We don't have the tools to assess that. And the movement the county was going on, and I'm glad you're continuing, is to help us do that so that we can prioritize. We can say, let's invest in that portion of the right-of-way that's going to give us the biggest bang for the buck, because that enhances our tax base. And I think it's critical to the taxpayers that we continue to protect the tax base and enhance it, not just with public investments, but with investments that encourage private investment that then helps everyone. We have an impact fee statute. It's very narrowly tailored. It really doesn't help us address the impacts of growth. We have an ordinance that is also super narrow. And so getting the county to help us reform that statute so it really can get to all the aspects. If we just simply use the statute as we're currently using it, and we spread to the end of the county line, and we built infrastructure, as much as possible up to the county line, we're still going to have a whole lot of things that are impacted by growth. And in the meantime, we're going to have a huge amount of debt, basically, that taxpayers are on the hook for, capital to pay for. The last thing is, it's real important to understand that the single biggest contributing factor to congestion on the roads are development patterns. And a lot of people say, well, I'm dealing with congestion. And frankly, it's too late for a road agency to fix or relieve congestion. We can adjust lights, we can add lanes here and there, we can put roundabouts in, but ultimately the decision gets made in the way development patterns are. So that areas, if you look closely at the areas where we have the most serious road congestion, those are largely because of development patterns. And so it's really incumbent that the land use agencies own that and understand, okay, we're not going to be able to appreciably deal with congestion. Let's help people have options so that at least they can feel some sense of power and ownership. Okay, I understand. I made some choices. I'm going to face congestion at a certain time, but these are my other options, either in the route they travel or in the mode they travel. So I think that's really important, because if we just keep going back and thinking, well, it's just ACHD's job to deal with congestion, we're barking up the wrong tree.
Thank you, Jim.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the Ada County Commissioners for calling the meeting and bringing us all here today. And I just firmly support being good partners and working collaboratively. And similarly to what Jim just said, we have to work together in order to really realize and protect the quality of life and what makes this place so great. So happy to have more conversations about that, and just know how important you all in that scheme of things. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Pickering. Is there any?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President, I will just add my thanks to the Ada County Commission for joining us today. And as has already been mentioned, look forward to strengthening our relationships and working collaboratively together going forward and facing the issues that are out there in the county. So thank you very much. Look forward to the next time we can all get together. And hopefully it will be in person.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be nice too.
I think we're on the downhill slide of this.
I think so. Hope so. But thank you all.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Well, if there are no other comments or questions, then we probably ought to each adjourn our portion of the meeting. And
okay. Well, we're adjourned. We're on recess. We're adjourned, right? All right.
We're adjourned
Thank
as
you,
well.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Here, I got a gavel.